So we've got the resolution up on board. Ian, do you want to say something?
Yeah, so just through the chair, what we have done is we've taken on board the feedback from the community board, and we've drafted up a resolution that looks to defer the board's decision to enable you to do some informal engagement with the community in the next week or so, and that will then help you decide upon whether you wanted to make a submission or not, and whether you wanted to make a submission in favour or support or against. And then the third resolution there is proposing that you would bring any submission you do make back to the next community board meeting so that the public can see it, but also allow staff the ability to work on the wording of that submission with you. So that's what we've put up there. Happy to take any changes or amendments.
I'll move.
Okay, we've got John. Do we have a seconder?
I'll second.
Peter. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye, belatedly.
Cool, so motion carried. So we will move on to the Mercury Bay Community Correspondence Report. Does anyone have any questions?
Just following on from when Natasha Lynch came and spoke, is there any update with meeting with police around some of the safety concerns and traffic concerns?
I have passed all that information on, plus the video to our local police and to the policeman that was mentioned by, was it Oscar? Yeah. They haven't come back to me with anything. They're following that up through their own processes, but I have asked Brenton Bland, who's the senior sergeant, if he will come and talk to the board, and he can't make it until July. But
he's keen to
make a general conversation.
Yes,
yeah, very much.
Oh, good.
He's booked on for an evening day.
Yeah.
He was just on leave for the next one, so yeah, there's nothing more that we can do in this place for Natasha at this point, other than what we've done.
And likewise, in regard to Libby Riley, is there any update on the work on that?
Esther, you had the last conversations on the Libby Riley one? We haven't been provided with any further detail, have we?
No, through the chair, it was just that staff are going to provide a breakdown to you at a later date, but they are still working with Libby, etc. That's all I know.
Yeah, I think it's still actively emails going back and forth. So I don't think it's entirely resolved.
Not entirely.
Okay. So do we have a mover and a seconder to receive the correspondence report?
I'll move.
I'll second.
Peter and Rika. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. For the recovery plan, anyone have any questions on that?
Yes.
I do have a question. The social recovery update. Yes. Sorry, Helen, I didn't realise you hadn't sat down yet.
Morning.
So, Chrissy, do you want Helen to say anything first before questions, or shall I just go ahead?
Do you have anything you would like to say?
I have a few things to add, but I'm happy to do it either way.
Why don't you start first? You might answer some of our questions.
I'll just take the report as read, but this is now the fifth of the community boards I've been talking to, and there's a few things that have come up on the other boards that I'll like to share that have been their questions. One is the funding of this team. So the community partnerships team, which consists of myself, 2 social navigators, plus Isla, who is over here as a 6-month cadet role, is fully funded by recovery. So it's come through external recovery sources. So the all the salaries and wages are fully funded, but also our work program is fully funded. So we've got a range of different funding sources, which has been recovery, like Department of Internal Affairs, MSD, but also applications into MPI, Lions, Red Cross, and have come up with $1.5 million of funds that are delivering this social recovery program. So most of that will be spent this year, but there is a little bit of a carryover into the, for the balance of 2024 on that. The other part is how recovery is still very much alive within the Thames Coromandel district, and we're working on making sure that that is not forgotten with our central government agencies supporting us with some of this work. An example of that is in the social recovery graphic attached in the report. It says there that 17 red placard and 18 yellow placard. Well, since we've produced that graphic, there's been an additional 2 yellow placards applied, just because there's been, Department of Conservation did an engineer's report on there's an area on the Thames coast, and as a subsequent action from that report, 2 further yellow placards have been applied. So we're still well over a year on, we still have people displaced from their homes, and we still have a number of placards that we're working through. So our social navigators work very closely with those placard property owners. Other initiatives that I realised I hadn't included here, which, because it's not strictly social recovery, has been we've used a combination of Ministry of Social Development, Mayor's Task Force for Jobs and recovery funding to put in place the coastal kaitiaki, which are working on June care in the Mercury Bay area. So we've got 3 what was 6-month roles, and I'm pleased to say I've just managed to negotiate a bit more money, so that's going to be extended to 12 months, and I think they're doing an amazing job and actually making a difference to what was quite a devastating impact along our coastlines. So those were just what I was going to add. But any questions?
Delly, did you have anything?
Oh, right. Hi, Helen. And first of all, thank you for all the fantastic mahi that you're doing. And I think every time we mention this, we have to remind the community, particularly some people who publish articles, that the funding isn't coming from their ratepayer dollars. So there's an opportunity for us to tell that good story again and again and again, sadly, because people don't get it. What I was going to ask you about is I saw the printout to what equipment or facilities were given to different people or villages or marae around the place, and it's absolutely amazing. I just have a question, and I wonder if you can ask someone why Opito, which I feel is one of our most isolated communities, doesn't have a Starlink. So there were Starlinks given out to less isolated communities, and I thought that they would be quite a good candidate.
I can actually answer that. So we just phased the rollout of that program on the 35 resilience hubs. With the first 10, we managed to get separate funding from MPI for the Starlinks, and it's not the provision of the Starlink, it's the operational costs ongoing for the next year to operate the Starlink. So we got separate funding for that first round, and the other funding that we've got subsequently doesn't cover those operational costs, but it's also the slight time delay in rolling out that. There's also, the change in that technology. So by this time next year, Vodafone, for instance, will be connected up to Starlink, so anybody with a Vodafone account will be able to, when there is the network go down, be able to still text through that. So there is, ideally we would have liked to have provided everybody with that Starlink, but it was sort of a one-off through one of the MPI funds.
Okay, yeah, just a shame that it was possibly one of our most isolated communities, wasn't one of the 10. Hey, the other question is, where is the Kai Garden in Whitianga?
The Ngāti Hei at Wharekaho. There's a... Okay. Yep, they're building quite a big kāinga kai, but also the Whitianga Community Services Trust. We're working with them at the moment as well. So they've got a small garden there, and we're looking at it, saying expanding that potentially, I think, in negotiation with Ngāti Hei about using some of their land.
Perfect. Thanks, Helen.
So there is a community garden out at the bike park, so that sort of sits separate to these projects?
So these projects, with those community gardens, it's tied in with the community response groups or a community-led response. So it's with Whitianga Community Services Trust and Ngāti Hei, the idea is that the produce is stored and available for the food banks and for supporting the marae, as opposed to a community garden initiative, which is more, I mean, although during the, when there are no emergencies, it is still distributed through those food networks. Yeah.
Okay. Any further questions? Okay. Can I have a move and a seconder to receive the report?
I'll move.
Rita and Delhi. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carried.
Thanks, Helen.
Thank you. Okay, so we'll move to the Bluff Road update. Okay, does anyone have any questions or clarification? Okay, we've got it online. Do you want any questions?
I've got a couple of questions.
Yeah, go ahead.
But they're on my computer, which is doing an update.
You can't think of one off the top of your head.
Yeah, ignored. So I found this copy. Paper here. Morning, Ed.
Good morning, board.
So I did have a couple of questions, and one was around the suspension bridge, which was such a focus around this project, and it's not sort of mentioned in this report at all. I just wonder if you could comment on that.
Certainly, if I can. First of all, I was here for the public presentations, so I understand the background to this. This report is purely looking at the issues identified along Bluff Road as a whole. It's part of ongoing works along the entire area, which would consider the investigation of the suspension bridge. The situation, as I understand it, as I'm not directly involved with this at this time, Lorenzo is managing the project, is that we were looking, as a council, we were looking at the overall issues along the route in its entirety to determine if there were other significant problems that would jeopardize the route as a whole. The fact is that whatever you do at what is identified as slip 2 in the report, whatever you do there is dependent on what can be done on the rest of the route to reopen the route. So this is very much a first stage in looking at what the entire route will require to reopen it.
Chrissy, through the chair, can I just ask a question?
Go ahead.
So the whole route at the moment, Ed, is not closed. Only the section where slip 2 is closed. So it's not about reopening the whole route, is my understanding?
Through the chair, the section where slip 2 is closed to all traffic. The remainder of the route is partly open to vehicle traffic, partly open to pedestrian traffic. But we know that there are issues along the entire route, and these have been identified. Without addressing these additional issues, anything we do at slip 2 could itself be in jeopardy. So, as I said earlier, this is purely looking at the overall problems along the route to see if to see what the scope of the problems are.
Through the chair, just following up on that, Ed, in other words, you're saying that these works should be carried out before consideration is given to a suspension bridge?
Not necessarily. Some of these works could be carried out over an extended period of time. Some of them will require immediate attention. Certainly the location at Slip 2, which is the location of the suspension bridge, is the primary concern that we've got. But we've now identified, I believe from memory, 7 individual slip sites along the entire road, which give cause for concern and will require some form of remediation work at some time. It may be possible to open the route to pedestrian traffic and not immediately address those issues, but some of those will also have to be addressed in addition to the location at Slip 2.
Understood, Ed, but at the moment, all of those other locations, people are riding bikes and walking, so it's not technically closed. I understand that they're going to have to be addressed, but the real problem at the moment is Slip 2. And I'm just wondering, the communities are frustrated, as you can understand. I'm not having a go at you at all, but it would be an interesting exercise to actually see how much they could raise in terms of a genuine costed option. What sort of support, because they say they do have a lot of support from their communities, plural. They're sort of chomping at the bit to have those sort of conversations, I think. That's the sense I get. That's where the frustration is. And as Kevin reiterated this morning, people are just using it because they don't want to ride a bike or walk over the Boomer Hill, which is State Highway 25, and it's a nightmare. So, and we can't really stop people doing that, and it is at their own risk. But the time lapse is probably the greatest source of frustration, and how we can work together with those community groups and actually get something costed.
Through the chair, the community groups do have the ability to undertake individual costings of suspension bridges and undertake designs themselves. We've got no ability to prevent them doing that. And if they were to do so and provide a detailed costed proposal, it would be very welcome. At the moment, however, all they've done is provide some indicative costs and seem to be waiting on council to actually generate the impetus. We do have a process to go through. Sorry, carry on.
Do you think they're concerned that if they spend that money, which could be in the realm of tens of thousands of dollars, that council might turn around and say, no, that's not going to be acceptable?
That, through the chair, that is a possibility, yes. But we've provided them with details on the expected standards for any bridge. They do have qualified structural engineers within their teams. So I would assume that they would be able to provide or at least undertake works that comply with current standards, in which case there would be no reason for council to reject it.
May I ask? Thank you. Thanks, Ed. I guess, and great report, and I think we were all quite focused on a suspension bridge, and we sort of see a different outcome here. But I understand that the bridge is not off the table. I know this is an information update report, but what would next steps be here for staff? Is there some engagement with those community groups planned in order to share this report? Or, I sort of had in my mind, do we want to kind of have an informal working group where we have one board member and perhaps a member from Mātarangi ratepayers and Kuaotunu ratepayers and, you know, a couple members of staff. And we go and have some conversations, share the report and look at ways of progressing this forward. I just wanted to kind of get a sense of what next steps were.
All right, through the chair, the project's currently being run by the capital projects team, and Lorenzo Canal is managing it. My understanding of the next step, well, first of all, my understanding of providing this report for information was that once it's gone to the board yourselves, it's then in the public domain and can be freely released to any interested group. So that's, I believe, is the purpose of providing the report to the board at the moment. From there, my understanding is that there is intended to be further consultation on the potential for the route that Lorenzo's team will be managing, and looking at various options for the route as a whole, and in particular for the slip at Site 2. The one issue that I should table at the moment is that the report does highlight that there an independent firm has identified that there is a high risk to a number of slips along that road, and whilst our current road closure or current closure is currently at Site 2, we are looking at this report to see if there is any need to actually extend that closure to cover the other slip sites. Obviously now we have this information available. It is available to the public, and if an accident were to occur, and council, being aware of the potential issues, had taken no action, we could find council liable. So at the moment, the report is being reviewed to see what we can do to address the immediate issues that have been identified, and whether they actually do increase the risk to the public along that road.
Okay, thank you. And I guess the other thing to mention is, in our board submission, we did have a piece around Bluff Road and the LTP. Kevin's closing comment was, the LTP is quiet on this project, but we've made it one of our submission points.
We did have that.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to, it was quite brief. Just trying to find it.
There's some OPEX money for these reports and things, isn't there?
It was this very small amount of OPEX. We put in the submission that it said, in addition to the current items listed in the capital expenditure list for Mercury Bay, the Mercury Bay Community Board requests funding to be included for such works as required to make safe Bluff Road and ensure for safe pedestrian and cycle access between Kuaotunu and Matarangi communities, the Rings Beach Loop Track and key community fishing areas. The board noted that the report was coming to this meeting, and in addition that the Kuaotunu and Matarangi ratepayers have indicated that the community is willing to contribute financially. So that went in our submission, your submission.
Thank you.
No, through the chair, just to back up on Rick's been saying, what happens now. Hearing the frustration of the Kuaotunu and Matarangi ratepayers this morning as to progress, I just wonder if it's a suggestion that our board recommends that council meet with the Kuaotunu and Matarangi ratepayers as to ongoing solutions.
Can we do that for an information report?
Yeah, through the chair, you don't have it like an option as a participant in certain events and engagement to make a decision under an information report. However, I'm happy to record it as an action and that stuff, investigate that further, and it'll be recorded in the minutes as your request.
Okay.
Yep.
And can we go further, Peter, to say that one of the board members be part of that? You know, when we go and staff meet with the community, that at least Chrissy or one of the board members are there.
Okay, any other questions? No. Okay, so can I have a mover and seconder to receive the report?
I'm happy to move it.
I'll move.
Rika and Dilly, all those in favour say aye.
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 Any opposed? None. Okay, motion carried.
Do we need to see that action, or does it just get actioned?
I'll record it in the, I've
Perfect.
got it noted, thank you.
Okay, the customer services quarterly report. Are there any questions?
Adriana.
Adriana.
I will guess this.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Adriana Santamaria. I'm the Customer Services Manager. I've been working with TCDC for about 2 years now. The purpose of me being here is to give you an overview of the services that we provide for our community and for our organization. So in the first chart, I'm not sure it will be convenient if you guys have your agenda with all the charts.
I think everyone will have theirs.
If we can
I'm happy to share on screen.
share and
Just give me a moment to bring it up.
for the people who doesn't have the agenda. So while is that share the agenda, yes, thank you. So basically, in customer services, we are the front line to receive all the queries from the district to through different channels. What are these channels? So all the RFPs from the website, the front desk, the people who work into our offices, the call center that we have available 24/7, and also we process all the emails that we receive from the community. In the first chart, you can see how many queries we receive for the first for this period, 1st of January to 1st of March. So our team, the main goal of our team is to be able to answer all the questions at first point of contact, 80%. So to achieve our team to answer 80% of the calls at the first point of contact, we are create our team and enable our team to have extensive training sessions and broad knowledge across all the departments. So far we have been achieved this goal, which is great. In the next chart, you can see the amount of emails that we receive and process for this period.
Sorry. Okay.
If we move to our next chart. Yes,
Next one.
thank you. There are a lot of emails, and we have a high volume here because this period includes January, and January is the highest season, peak season for us. If we move for the front desk, how many customers we visit our offices in this period? In the next chart, you can see the percentage of volume distributed across all the offices. So if we move to our next chart, please.
So the foot traffic.
Yeah.
Is that the right one?
Our next one.
This one?
The percentage. So normally, PTA teams and AA have half of the percentage of population visiting our offices. This period, Whitianga has 26% of visitors in our office. Of course, this includes the peak period, January. The fluctuation for Whitianga, the front desk traffic is between 23 and 26% during the year. In terms, we have the high volume of visitors due to the AA requirements. So because after the weather event, we noticed the high volume of requires of demand of services for AA agency for Whitianga and Whangamata community. So we sent a formal request to the agency to improve the services that they provide. At the moment, they provide mobile unit in Whitianga 2 days a month, and the same as a Pangamata. So the final goal is for us to achieve permanent services in Whitianga, which could benefit Coromandel as well, an agency who provide permanent services for the AA community. So the benefit will be the elder population doesn't have to travel to teams to have their licenses. For all the kids who has to renew their licenses, and the parents, some of the requires that we receive from Whitianga community, if the parents has to take a day from their work to bring the kids and renew their licensing. So
you're applying for that, which is great. Do you know what sort of process or how long before we would get an answer?
So we already have an answer from the AA agency say that we will maintain the mobile units, but we need to move further with the transport agency to see if we can have a permanent services in Whitianga. So we support this information with letters from the community.
Just through the chair. They've extended it until June, and so we want to thank the board for their letter of support. We are still seeking it to be permanently, so we need to get in touch with the contract manager of Waikato. So finding out the national contract manager, so we're getting those details, and then we'll get them to connect with them as well.
Right, okay. So we're still in that process, so it's not.
It has been extended. It was going to stop in March, and it's been extended now to June. So it's just to put that pressure on and demonstrating the need.
Through the chair, can I just ask a question in regard to these numbers? That they would be heavily influenced, would they not, by the change of waste management service over that period of time and the amount of queries that came through from that? So are we looking at something a bit abnormal here in regard to what you would...
in these numbers...
Not the percentage breakdown, but just the sheer number of visits into the service centres and...
Yeah, definitely. Thank you for your question. So the solid waste transition starts in August, and because this chart includes the information for January, for the peak season, it's a high volume of queries and visitors from our community, especially non-resident players. They don't know the system because they just move for the holiday and they start knowing the system, so it increases the demand of visitors. In the next chart, you can see that your question leads me to our next chart, which is the breakdown of RFAs that we received. What were the top 5 departments with the highest queries per word? So, of course, in the top five departments, solid waste is the top department across the 5 wards. Normally, the queries that we received for this period were related to collections, to missed collections, were related to tax. Some of the community is still not adjust to the tax system. And now, today, in April, the number of queries just become normal and the volumes become normal because the community are at this point of time resilient to the system.
What I would find really helpful would be to understand how this compares to previous years for those peak periods as a comparison. And I would also find it very helpful, and the same question that I asked the Chief Executive at every council meeting, what our clearance rates are like and how quickly we are able to resolve the RFS requests. So I can't read anything in this report that gives me comfort that we're getting a lot of people coming in the door, but how effective are we at being able to resolve and answer the questions?
So, yeah, this board, so I was going to ask that same thing, because this board has 2 outstanding RFSs. One, I think, is coming up 2 years, and where is all of the old, how are we dealing with that historic and backload of stuff? Is there a glut of stuff, and we're just firefighting and staying on top of the stuff that comes in the door, but where is the historic, and how are we clearing that backload? That's what I'd be interested in.
So, thank you for your question. I'm going to respond to your question. So, in terms of the number of RFSs that we receive and what is the current status of the RFSs, so every single department has the ability to provide how many RFSs have been complete and how many RFSs are in progress. The RFSs are built into a specific time frame. So it means for solid waste, the time frame of the RFSs will be resolved normally at the same day. However, rolling department or water services have a long lead times. We have been received feedback, which is part of this report through last year to all of these meetings about customer services not getting back to the customer, updating the outcome of the RFPs. The last part of this report, we are working in a project at the moment to ensure across all departments to ensure customers get notification as soon their RFPs are complete. So this will ensure that the customers has a positive experience when they dealing with ECDC. So this project has different components. The first component is automatic notifications through emails. So as soon the ratepayer or the customer load an RFS, so they will receive, if they load an RFS through our website, they will receive a notification. Your RFS has been loaded, the number of RFS is this number. Then the RFS, the department will receive the RFS and the RFS will be closed. And as soon as we close the task, the only way to close the RFS is when the task is complete, and we close the RFS and the customer will receive an automatic notification that your RFS for parks and reserves has been complete. So we, in the last page of this report, so we can go to, so you can see how we are implementing this project. So we start with parks and reserves, and today, probably 15th of May, we will complete all for parks and reserves. They provide 83 services, and all this, and like 70% of these services will receive an automatic notification. The automatic notifications are implemented. So when you, let's say you load an RFS to remove a tree from the road, as soon the tree has been removed, you will receive a notification and you are able to call customer services. This will be the automatic notification. Your RFS has been complete. If you have any query, please contact customer services and we will be able to contact you. We have been, automatic notifications is one part of the project. The second part of the project, we are working with the contractors. Some departments work with the contractors. We are working with them to ensure we provide a great notes and we load accurate RFSs for them to complete the task and notify the customers. However, you will receive the notification, and we are working internally to ensure the notes of the RFSs are clear when the RFS has been complete, and the public education to let them know that when they load the RFSs, if they want to know the outcome of the RFSs, they will receive an automatic notification and they will be able to contact us at any point.
Okay, I understand that, and I think it's a good process. From a governance perspective, which is the eyes that I need to look at this, what I would like to understand is are we meeting our objectives of the time frame that we're responding to the RFSs? How many do we have outside of the expected timeframes? And what is the reason that is driving those ones not being resolved? Because that helps me understand the effectiveness of our service to our ratepayers and the areas where there are potential blockages that I can then, from a governance perspective, ask some questions around. And I don't see this coming from these or similar reports in regard to the RFSs.
So sorry, through the chair, I can ask that because all the other boards have asked the same question, so we can provide that data and we will take that to the next quarterly report to show outstanding numbers of RFSs.
So with respect, Lorna, it's the same question that I've asked at every single council meeting that I've attended so far, I think. So I still haven't seen that, which I would really like to.
Take that on board. Just want to make a couple of comments to reference Adriana. When we're talking about these few things, with it being actioned and completed, say with the roading program, and that's scheduled, and that could take a couple of months because the roading program goes around the district. So there could be some that are outstanding because of, you know, where it's scheduled in the work program. We do escalate now if there, I mean, I heard Rika just mentioned there's an RFS that's outstanding. So if you, I understand that those are going to the area managers so that we can triage those and find out what the issue is around why they are taking longer. And the other thing as well is that it's not just the RFS, this is contract management. And so it's also going back to if the contractors aren't meeting this as well, that's a KPI that we need to have discussion around the contract management.
So, you know, the principles to me of good governance are that there are very good operational programs that are in place, but the ability for the governance team to be able to review that and understand where they are not operating to those. So take all on board in regard to there will always be exceptions. It's just to try and understand that the processes are actually picking the things up that it should be on a regular basis, so that we're not having street lights out for 6 months that haven't been actioned, for example. You know, it's just
just to point out that this process has actually helped improve how the contractors are reporting back. It's improved how the customer services are taking information. So there's definitely improvements in that, and also the monthly audits as well that we're doing. So we're actually going to look at across a range of departments what looks good and what doesn't. So there's definitely been a good and continuous improvement from just doing this as well.
Yeah. And also in the system, when the time frame exceeds, the system will create an automatic notification to the managers for every single services. There is any other question? That in regards, to the outstanding RFSs, just Kayla can send it to Kayla.
But with regards to, you've just said RFS submitted on this date, is actually known the papers.
Oh, the papers, I have no responsibility for that, but I can look into it.
So it's been nearly 2 years, June will be 2 years. And the bridge, is there on the signage attached to the bridge?
Oh, the route.
TÜMATAITI bridge.
It's been moved several times and it keeps coming back.
Thank you. I just want to clarify, in terms of the reports that you want to see, is for the top 5 departments, you want to see what is the current status of the RFSs, how many are in progress and how many are outstanding?
Yes. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, can I have a mover and a seconder to receive the quarterly report? We've got Peter and Karen. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carried. Now we've got the long-term plan.
Waikato Regional Council long-term plan.
Yes, Waikato one.
They've shown online,
They've shown online. Welcome. Does anyone have
Got
any?
up.
I've got John.
No, sorry, I was
just
just saying hello.
Just checking you can hear me. I've been having some computer issues.
Yes, we can
Thumbs
hear you.
up. Thank you very much. Kia ora, Community Board members. Thank you very much for your time today. Just by way of introductory comments, the report is an information-only report that I had to write in order to meet the agenda deadline before the Waikato Regional Council actually published their consultation document for their long-term plan. So that's why the text of the report is a bit light on detail. So I can give you a bit more information now about the topics that the Regional Council is actually seeking feedback on. Would you like me to do that?
Yes, please.
Yes, all right, lovely. Okay, so there's 4 or 5 topics that they're specifically seeking feedback on. The first one is in relation to the rates that are collected to fund projects and works in relation to the biodiversity issues around the region. The Regional Council is proposing to increase the amount of that rate so that they can fund more activities. That's a matter that is of interest to our district because we do have a number of groups that take advantage of that funding to do really important work. The second topic that they're seeking feedback on is again about a change to the way that they do some of their... Yes, sorry?
Through the chair, sorry to interrupt, Sian. Have we got copies of this that councillors can see? Because some of us had this presentation and we had specific item numbers and the amounts and everything in front of us. Is that not being provided as part of this?
Oh no, it is. There's a link in the report to where the consultation document is. Yes.
Thanks, Sian. Sorry.
Sorry, those slides that they shared would be really good because that's just a really good summary.
It is. It's really good, and it just throws a light on all of the options. But there's a link to that summary in your report? In the report,
link, not a link to the presentation that was given by the Waikato, but a link to the page where the consultation document is published. So in the consultation document, you can see all these things.
Through the chair, Len, I've got that slideshow presentation because I asked Ari for it, and I'm happy to flick it out to the whole community board.
Just before you do that, Deli, thank you. I'm assuming that that is part of the WRC open consultation and it's publicly available. Just, Sian, do you know the answer to that?
I'm sorry, no, I don't know the answer to that. I don't know to what extent any of that information is public or not.
We got it in a council workshop, didn't we?
And it's, all it is their top 5 questions with their 3 options highlighting which is the preferred. So I meant
It's part of their public consultation.
A quick question to Ari, I'm sure will answer.
My sense was that it was putting it into a form that was more appropriate for elected members with concerns that we might have around it.
Yeah. Thanks, Tom. Sorry to interrupt.
So, it's absolutely fine. No problems at all. Good to clarify. I was going to mention that meeting when I got to the end, but we've covered that. That's good. So the second topic is around public transport. Again, it's about the rate that the Regional Council collects to fund public transport services, and there is a proposal to move to a completely regional-wide rating system for public transport. Currently, there's a bit of a difference around the region. Some district councils currently collect rates directly to fund public transport. Thames Coromandel is not one of those councils. The public transport in our district is funded through the regional council's resources. So this is the proposal from the regional council to do that right across the region. The whole entire region will be rated for public transport. The third topic is about regional economic development. The Regional Council is proposing some changes to the way that they fund the delivery of economic development projects around the region. The fourth topic is in relation to how the Regional Council, again, these are all funding things around how the Regional Council funds its monitoring of permitted activities in rural areas, and that is with a focus on rural properties that have a area larger than 20 hectares. So those are the topics that are out for consultation, and apart from the last one that I mentioned, which is about private land that is monitored, the topics are all of interest to us at Thames Coromandel District Council, and staff have been working on drafting some feedback to send to the Regional Council that will be considered, as I mentioned in my report to the Community Board, will be considered at the Council meeting on the 30th of April. The closing date for providing feedback to the Regional Council is just a few days after that, on the 2nd of May. In addition to those topics that I mentioned, the other thing that the Regional Council did at the same time as publishing its consultation document, it published a draft of its long-term plan. So within that are important documents such as the infrastructure, infrastructure strategy, which is, of course, a great deal of interest to Thames Coromandel, a number of significant pieces of infrastructure. So staff have also looked at that document and looking at what we can say to the Regional Council about what's proposed in the infrastructure strategy as well. I'm happy to answer any other questions or just briefly reiterate what His Worship mentioned. There was a presentation by the chair and some of the councillors from the Regional Council to our own elected members and staff on Monday, where they basically ran through the same things that I've just described to you, and there was an opportunity for a bit of questions and answers between the elected members. And so I was listening in on that meeting and picked up some of the kōrero there that I have included in the draft text for the feedback that will be considered. Just to let you know that that's covered. Happy to answer any other questions.
Through the chair, I'd like to ask a question. Sure. Sean, just two things that I wanted to ask. You said that the public transport services are looking at a regional-wide rating system across the district. So is there any indication that that actually means that Mercury Bay would get some transport options?
That's not what the question is about. No, it's just about the rating. So it's just about how they collect the money. It's not about how the money is spent. So how the money is spent would be covered in things like the Regional Land Transport Plan, which is a separate document and is not part of this consultation process.
So there's no opportunity to put something in saying if that rate happens, then, you know, I'm thinking about the gold card on the ferry as well and transport options for there. So is there any opportunity to include any of that into that submission?
We can certainly include in our feedback advocating for how that funding is then used around the region, and in particular if we want to point out specific things that would be of benefit to this district. This is certainly an opportunity where we can advocate things to the Regional Council. Any opportunity that we have to provide feedback to other agencies that can be useful to us, we can certainly advocate for things that we think are important for our district, even if they're not topics that are specifically, you know, being asked for. So that we can and indeed the draft feedback, because I've managed to progress that work since I did the report for your agenda. The draft feedback does have some content in it around additional public transport options in the Thames Coromandel district to what we currently have.
Thank you, Sean.
So if I may, just a bit of context around that, the public transport for Thames Coromandel is being addressed specifically in the current Regional Land Transport process, and this board's made a submission. Council's made a submission. We start the consideration of those And I have to say that I've been going through the submissions of the last couple of days. Thames Coromandel has absolutely knocked it out of the park in terms of the number and quality of submissions to that forum, which is fantastic. So there is specific Thames Coromandel public transport addressed in that process. This addresses purely the regional rating model rather than the old model, which used to be community board by community board. We're already there, and across the district, across the region, a number of other councils are not there. So this is for submissions on should we go to a region-wide funding model right across the whole Waikato region.
Kelly, you had a question?
Sorry, I just realised I blew my nose with my mic on.
I
think this is I think this is an opportunity for us to think of our surf lifesaving service, both at Hotwater Beach, Hahei, Cath Cove when it's open, right the way down the eastern seaboard of Waikato region. Waikato Regional Council has said that they will not increase the amount funded to the clubs in line with what was requested, which was CPI. So I think, I don't know how everybody else feels, we've got an opportunity as a board to put quite a strong submission around the increase in support for surf lifesaving in our ward.
I would tautoko that. I think it's a really good topic that is extremely, sorry through the chair, that is extremely topical for this district, and it's probably unlikely that there'll be many submissions from other councils in the region on that topic. So I think it's definitely worth including in that submission process to WRC as part of this round.
Any further questions?
Sorry, if I may just clarify one other thing, Sian, that regional economic development, can you just clarify that they are proposing to disestablish the Regional Economic Development Fund?
Yes.
About $3.6 million in there, and they're basically saying it hasn't been used, we're going to disestablish it. Have I got that right?
That's a good summary, Your Worship, yes. So the proposal, well, the preferred option, just to be correct in terminology, the Regional Council's preferred option is to discontinue that Regional Development Fund. The other option that is offered in the consultation document is the opposite, to continue with the fund. Thames Coromandel District has been the beneficiary of funding for projects from that resource. So at this stage, I think we will probably be recommending that Thames Coromandel support the alternative option, which is for the fund to continue, because we can demonstrate tangible benefits from that fund. But that's just at this stage. So that yes, that's your proposal. Yeah, discontinue or continue is the option.
Thank you. Can you just clarify that that's the fund that provided $500,000 for the Kopu Marine project?
I'm not sure of the exact amount, Your Worship, but yes, that project is one of the ones that benefited from that fund. Yes.
Thank you.
Just through the chair, I don't know whether Lorna wanted to make the same comments that you made yesterday. That fund, TCDC, has been one of only 2 successful recipients of that fund.
Yes, so through the chair, we've applied for 2 things from it. So Kopu was one, and also we got, I think it was $1 million, and that was for the Tiaraki Tahi Chevrolet project as well.
So it sounds like that there would be some benefit for us in continuing support of that fund, but it will be one council amongst the rest in the region. So.
Was there not an option to discontinue that fund but use the funds that they're to pay for Te Waka for some time? Is that what they were proposing?
I wasn't part of it was a separate part of the presentation, but it wasn't part of those 5.
Okay.
But there certainly is a discussion around continued support from WRC for Te Waka, and also council's supporting Te Waka, but the council's support is very small.
Minimal compared
by
to.
comparison.
Sure. Sorry, the other point that I wanted to make was around biosecurity, and whether, we have.
Sorry, Dilly. Sorry, Rebecca. Biodiversity.
Biosecurity.
Oh, I'm
when
sorry.
we talk about things like pest seaweed, like Kalupa, golden clam?
Oh, golden clams.
Yeah, things like that, and whether we would want to make some sort of comment to make sure that they are funded to be able to, in the first instance, react to pests in our environment. And not just the marine environment either.
Yep. And through the chair, so one of the pieces of detail in the consultation document is a commitment on the part of the regional council to, in the words that they've used, step up pest control and pest management, and matters such as Kalupa are specifically referenced in there as matters that the regional council is going to focus on. So I think we could certainly say something in the council's feedback to endorse and support that direction that the regional council is saying that they're going to go in along those lines.
Perfect, thank you.
Yeah, through the chair, just Sharon, I think that Delhi and Rico in particular have got a bit more insight into Kalupa and also the clean hull plan. I know that you've got some draft paragraphs, but I would suggest that you could run those by these guys if you and myself if you wanted to.
Sure, happy to do that. Yeah.
Through the chair, can I just ask, Delhi, have you got the funding options for biodiversity open in front of you?
No, I haven't.
Okay, no, don't worry. So it was interesting, the discussion, the difference between our district and our council and others in the area, that there was a strong feeling that there would be a lot of interest in maintaining and increasing that level of funding in Thames Coromandel because of the amount of biodiversity challenges and biosecurity challenges, whereas in other parts of the district, maybe not so much, where they don't have active trapping and threats. So, but the numbers involved were very, very small. It was like the difference between $8 and $5 a year per household or something. There it is. So option 1, $8.68 per property per annum. Option 2, $15 per property per annum. And option 3, maintain the current at $5.80 per property per annum. So this council needs to decide whether we support maintaining a CPI increase, which would take it to $8.68 per annum, increase to $15 per annum per property, or maintain at current level, which is $5.80 per annum. So those are the 3 options. Thank you. And in the discussion around the council table, it looked like there was an strong argument for councils going in this direction because of the public interest.
Any further questions? Okay, so can I have a mover and a seconder to receive the Regional Council Long-Term Plan Report?
I'll move.
I'll second.
Rika and Peter. All those in favour say aye.
Thank you very much, community board members. I appreciate your time, and I've noted down the points that you've made to include in the draft feedback. If there's anything else that occurs to you after this, please liaise with your area manager and they can feedback to me for me to include it. That would be great.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next we have the CAPEX work and we have Glenn online.
Morning, board.
Morning. Oh, afternoon. Oh, yeah, it's afternoon now. Does anyone have any questions for Glenn?
Yes, I do.
Go ahead, Ellie.
Hi, Glenn. How are you doing?
Thank you, Dale.
There are a couple of actions that regard public meetings, which I'd like to see a time put around them. One of them is Cook's Beach Lakes, and I'm still receiving regular phone calls and don't have anything else to offer people really. And also I note that there is meant to be a post busy season meeting in Hahei regarding the efficacy of signage rather than having that bollard that was proposed to be put into the ground. And I would also note, if I can note a third thing, that Monk Street is in there saying create a gravel car park.
Okay. Yeah, that's everything.
So the question was, the action that I would like to come out of that is these meetings to be organised expediently with Hahei and Cook's Beach.
Through the chair, just in respect to the Hahei bollard, at our last Ratepayer Association meeting, Brett Harries was going to follow up with the Hahei Ratepayers Association. I haven't heard back from him, and I'm not saying not have a meeting, but just so you know, Penny Clayton has been in contact and been very pleased with how it's gone with just the signage and believes that it's worked very well. So
yes, I've had that same conversation.
You can still have that formal follow-up, but just so you're aware of the conversations at the moment.
Okay.
I was just wanting an update on Mercury Bay, forget its name, the refuse group.
That's
the one. And looking for a temporary site. And I know that there was some conversations around finding a temporary site. Have they been able to achieve that?
I will need to get back to you on that, sorry. There have been discussions with them, but I'm not sure about the resolution of that. But I'll check with the project manager and confirm.
Thank you.
Through the chair, I'm just looking at the Buffalo Beach Public Convenience entry for renewal of the public convenience at Buffalo Beach. And I see the funding, the cost, I understand, is to be in the vicinity of $600,000. And I appreciate that some of it is from tourism funding. But my concern is that if general public in our ward, I realise that the replacement of a toilet block is going to cost $600,000. There'll be a lot of eyebrows raised.
No, it's the cost of a house, isn't it? You get a whole new house for that, and yet we can't get a bathroom.
The same eyebrows, Peter, have been raised at Tairua with the proposed toilets there, and it's all over social media, and it could be helpful to have some comms around the breakdown of why it actually costs as much as a small house.
Thank you.
Could just put a small house in, it's got 8 in the bathroom.
It would last about a month. Through the chair. Yeah, there's so I hear what you're saying, like in terms of our commercial sensibilities, it sounds like a lot of money. The reality is that those public toilets live a very hard life. They have to be really quite industrial in their construction, really robust. But because of those eyebrows that were raised at Tairua, we are just pulling together a summary of costs for equivalent projects. These projects are being priced in a competitive market, so this isn't a preferred supplier arrangement where somebody's riding the gravy train and we're just handing the money over. We have a robust procurement process around this. So the reality is that is the budget, the order of budget that we need for a project of this size. That's what the market is charging now. And the share for external funds, so it's only costing us 200,000. Yeah. So we need that TIF funding won't be coming around again. There's no further TIF funding coming. So we do need to grab that 400K while it's available to get the project happening.
So use it or lose it situation with that TIF funding because it's been cancelled.
Is there an update on terms of timing around the resource consent for what we would call the shark bite? I don't know what you would know it as. Maybe the shark bite as well.
No, I don't. Sorry. Yeah, I'm familiar with the shark bite.
Right.
Yeah.
So no update on when that consent will be issued?
No, sorry. But again, I'll get back to you.
Okay, no further questions? Okay, can I then move it into secondary to receive the CAPEX report?
I'll move.
Peter and Rika. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Okay, motion carried. We'll move on to the action schedule. Okay, anyone have any questions?
Through the chair. This is the shark bite again.
Did I jump the gun and ask it?
We were asking for some timeframes for it, and we're told that there has been some further communication, but there's no mention of timeframes or the process of the consent. And I know that the status is that it's closed, and I thought it's far from being closed.
Through the chair, I'll just say that the action to have more comms publicly was done, although as you've expressed it may not have included everything that you wanted. It is a ongoing update on the work program though, so the action itself gets closed. Happy to reopen it though with that additional request of timeframes and whatnot.
Thank you.
Through the chair, I can share the latest timings on the update that I have received. So it may not be the actual latest, but in the first week of March, our planning team received feedback from both WRC and TCDC on the application for the seawall renewal, which includes the new extension piece, which is the shark bite. And the information was being pulled together to respond to both requests to WRC and TCDC. And information was intended to be supplied within the required 15 working day period. So that would take you to the end of March. And the indication is, although the outcome is not guaranteed, should the application be successful, we're still envisaging that construction will begin within 2 to 3 months of the granting of that consent. But that would be dependent on contractor availability and completion of the design. So that's the latest as of the second week of March.
Do we have any?
Through the chair, kind of begs the question why we haven't had that update, Dean.
For the chair, I'm not sure what the timing it was for the agenda reviews of the reports, but that's something I can follow up with Glenn and Lorenzo on.
One thing I can share on the work program is that staff, what is this called? Action schedule. Is that staff are going to replace the basketball hoop for one of the same like for like as what was previously there. And it hasn't been done yet, but they're going to touch base with Cold the young men that came in and saw us, and that will happen.
Do you have no clue on the time frame of that yet?
I did ask, there's a couple of things that need to happen, but yeah, it's in their program to do. Yeah, and they'll let us know when it's done. But it's great. It's a great outcome. The kids are going to get back, or the users. Sorry, I know some young adults and old adults that play basketball down there. But yeah, it's a great outcome. The kids are going to get back a hoop that they can train on, and
yes,
yeah.
Okay, great. Any further comments?
Quick question. We haven't had a look at the updated report on the RTS.
Oh, yeah.
Is it worth having a wee discussion on that one?
Do we still have Glenn online?
I'm just going
yeah, I don't know if he's still.
The chairman is not. I'll try and request that he join again and see if he does. And it's just only him. Glenn, sorry. Through the chair of the board, I've just got an additional question for you, if you don't mind.
That's fine.
Oh, Kelly had some questions.
We've just skipped over. Sorry, my mistake. I should have brought it up. Was the updated report on the RTS? Are there any comments at your end about that and how that's progressing?
So through the chair, yeah, the project is progressing well. So we're on track for this year's scope of work, which is to confirm the detailed design and have that ready to go, and then the rest of the program after that is subject to whatever drops out of the LTP deliberations, but we'll be ready to go with that as the time plays out from LTP decisions.
So just refresh my memory, team. Did we submit on bringing that RTS construction date a little bit further forward, because it's sitting at, I can't see it in front of me at the moment, it's sitting in 27, 28?
Next year.
The submission point was that the Mercury Community Board reiterate the need for this project to be completed in a timely manner. Delays have caused frustration for the Community Board, and the Mercury community have been anticipating a new refuse transfer station for several years.
Cool, thanks Heather. And I'm just wondering, at what point will we see the plan and the finalised costings? Any idea on timeframes?
That'll be towards the end of this financial year, so another couple
right,
months.
Cool. Oh, awesome, Glenn. Thank you for popping back for that one.
You're welcome.
Okay, any other questions out there in transfer station? No? Okay, thank you again, Glenn.
Okay, bye.
Bye. Okay, so we'll just jump back to the action schedule. Any further questions on that one?
Hi, Gary.
Yeah.
Hi. Okay, we can either move it and a seconder to receive the action schedule report.
I'll move.
I'll move.
And John. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
None.
Okay, motion carried. Report to exclude the public. So a mover and a seconder
I'll move.
Move into public
I'll
exclusion.
second.
We've got John and Rita.
Is that recording still?
Recording just about to, once you guys finish that motion.
Yep, all those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Okay, any opposed? No? Okay, motion carried.
That recording has now stopped.